module is about motivational concepts and human drives with emotion theories. Okay, there's 4 motivational concepts. The first one's called instinct theory. Instinct theory basically says that we are born with certain behaviors that are instinctive, like the rooting reflex, right? We learned that in the development chapter. Those are things that you're just born with, so that's a part of the motivational to perform certain behaviors because number 1, they're instinctive. Number 2, they might help reduce a drive that we need. Drive reduction theory says that our bodies, like for example, need water. It will send a signal, like your brain sends a signal to you that you become thirsty. So what do? Your behavior is to go up and get water. You'll wake up from a dead sleep because you're thirsty. You're going to get up and drink water. That's drive reduction theory. The third one's called arousal theory. Arousal theory says that we're motivated by optimal levels of arousal, like curiosity and achievement. Why do you not just sit around and do nothing? Because we hate being bored. That's arousal theory, right? We're looking for optimal levels of arousal. Something needs to stimulate us, to motivate us to do something. That's number 3. And number 4 is the hierarchy of needs. Please tell me you remember the hierarchy of needs. Abraham Maslow's hierarchy, remember the triangle? Yes. Some needs take priority over other needs. And remember, the bottom needs in the triangle were the physiological needs, and they go all the way up to self-transcendence. Okay, so remember in the hierarchy of needs, it's important that it goes from the bottom to the top. And then the bottom is like your physiological needs. So like, do you have food to eat? Do you have water to drink? Those are your basic needs. Then you go up to the orange, which is safety and security. Do you have a place to sleep? Do you know that dinner is coming? That's safety and security, knowing that you're confident what's going to happen next. Then it goes up to the yellow, the love and belongingness, which is having friends, having someone that's, always has your back, someone that you can call for any reason. And then if those 3 things are taken and you're doing well with these bottom 3, then it takes you to the green, which is self-esteem. You feel good about yourself, and then you can be self-actualized, the best you can be, and then maybe transcend, giving to others. So remember, just to recap, instinct and evolutionary theory, these are things that you're born with, that you do, and behaviors that help us survive. Need plus incentive equals drive and motivation. There are different kinds of incentives. You have positive incentives and you have negative incentives. Positive incentives are like food. They increase our dopamine levels. They cause the underlying drive to become active impulses. The more they're satisfied, the more you want. So positive incentives, food is a good example there. Now, some negative incentives could be like social media teasing. Bullying can cause others to unfollow you. Therefore, you may be more motivated to treat people better when you're online because you want those followers, you want those likes. So positive, think of good in this case, and negative, think of bad. As they're breaking down the arousal theory, they're thinking about like sensation seekers, and that's where sensation seeking theory comes in. The various conditions, the different ways that people and animals seek arousal. So there's 3 different specific ways. Number 1, they're sensation seekers. They display traits like experience seeking, a desire to try something new. The second one are adventure thrill seekers. This is an attraction of risky behaviors, fear-inspiring activities, jumping out of planes, bungee jumping, that kind of thing. Disinhibition or loss of self-control can happen in these cases. And the third one is boredom susceptibility, the inability to tolerate monotony or repetition. And I gotta tell you that this generation today, you guys don't even know how to be bored, because as soon as you're bored, you pick up your phone and you watch your Netflix, or you play a game on your phone, or you text your friend, or you look at social media. It's almost like you guys don't even know how to be bored. When we were younger, we didn't have these things, so we learned to make the most of what we had. So when we went to dinner with our parents, we couldn't just take out our phone and play. We had to listen to the conversation and sometimes be a part of it, and they asked questions and it got uncomfortable, and that was our lives. Yeah, feel sorry for us. Do you know that the last few years the Yerkes-Dodson law appeared on the AP exam? It appeared last year too. So it was kind of fun to see it there, because it's one of those words that appear and then everyone's like, what is that? The Yerkes-Dodson law, I've also heard it pronounced as Yerkes, but the Yerkes-Dodson law says that we need optimal levels of arousal to achieve the best performance. If it's too high, we might get anxious and stressed and then we fail. If the arousal is too low, we're kind of bored and we're not incentivized to perform the behavior. The best place to be is right in the middle. Not too high, not too low, but someplace in the middle. That's optimal levels of arousal. Not too high that you're stressed out having anxiety, and not too low that you're bored. Right in the middle, optimal levels of arousal. That's why it might marginally change between person and person, because what you think might be high levels of arousal may not be for me. Like public speaking for me is pretty easy. I do it all the time. It's part of my daily job, and I talk in front of lots of people all the time. But for someone who never does that might keep them up at night. That might not allow them to sleep because they're so worried and anxious. In those cases, right, for me, it's pretty much a moderate level of arousal. I'll do okay. My performance will be, semi-decent, because I'm used to public speaking. Whereas somebody else, if it's their first time or they've never done it before, they do it very infrequently, the night before they're going to be totally stressed out. When they get on stage or in front of their crowd to speak, they might fail, they might not do as well, because again, they're in that panic mode. The level of arousal is too high. They're panicking, they're full of anxiety. They need to bring that down so that they're here, kind of in that optimal level, not too high, not too low, but somewhere in the middle. That's Yerkes-Dodson law. Another dazzling chart. Make sure that you study this. These are the different theories: instinct and evolutionary theory, drive reduction, arousal theory, and Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And then just remember the big idea behind each. Okay, in this part of the module, they're talking about affiliation and achievement. What does affiliation mean? Affiliation means, making friends and having relationships. So there's a reason why we want friends around and we want to maintain our relationships. Number one, it aids survival. Think of the caveman days, right? People who hunted together, they were in groups together, they built communities together. This helped survival. People who were shunned and out of the group, they ended up not surviving, because again, being in a group helps you survive. Number two, it feels good to be a part of something. It feels good to belong. It increases your self-esteem, and this explains why humans conform to other humans. Number three, sustaining relationships. Isolation doesn't feel right, doesn't feel good. We want to maintain relationships, so we want to learn these skills so we can keep relationships healthy and happy. And then the last one is the pain of ostracism. Nobody wants to be ostracized or shunned. Nobody wants to be rejected. It hurts. It doesn't just psychologically hurt, it physically hurts. So don't be mean and don't ostracize your friends. Don't give them the silent treatment. It really, really hurts. Okay, check out this slide about intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. This is what motivates you to do something. And which one wins? Always, hands down, intrinsic motivation. Things that come from you, that you enjoy doing, you tend to do very, very well. So if you love dancing and you take dance because you love it, chances are you're going to dance well. You're going to do well because you love it. It comes from inside of you. But if you're forced to take dance class because, I don't know, someone's making you take dance class, that's extrinsic motivation, and you tend not to do as well. Good leaders, they facilitate intrinsic motivation from their followers. They make them want to do well, which is why they're good leaders. All in all, we strive to do three things. We want to be competent, we want a sense of personal control or autonomy, and we want to reduce stress, and we want to boost our self-esteem. It's hard to be human. This statistic has been around for a long time, but maybe you've never heard of it. Have you ever heard of the research that says that married people live longer and they're happier than people who are unmarried? And there's something to that. It's about relationships more than it is about the actual institution of marriage. And it basically says that we do better in life so long as we have proper affiliations, good affiliations, we have friendships, right? So there are all kinds of other research that indicates that people who have never had this, never had good, long-lasting, sustaining relationships throughout their lives as children, end up having problems later on as adults, making relationships and making them last. The way we connect with people today is so different than it was 20, 30 years ago. And really, social media is wonderful and it is a great way to connect with friends. And I know that I enjoy it because I can connect with friends I don't see very often and friends I had back in elementary and middle school. It's so great to hear from them and see them. But the key still is moderation. Social media can be a wonderful thing, but also could be a bad thing. And if you do it too much, if you're on there for too many hours, research is showing that it's really not good for you. So some of the tentative conclusions of the research conducted on social media, and remember, it's still being conducted as we speak. Number one, some correlational studies are showing excessive use of social media, like more than 3 hours per day. Teens are having issues with depression and anxiety. Number two, longitudinal studies are also showing the same thing, that if you're on there for more than 3 hours a day, it increases your mental health risks. So it puts you at a higher likelihood for having mental health issues. Last but not least, the experiments, the subjects that got off of social media for 4 weeks or more, guess what they reported? They reported feeling better. They reported having less bouts of depression and anxiety. So I guess the key is moderation, right? It's okay to be on social media, but don't inundate your day with it. It's just like anything else. It's just like a diet, right? Should you be eating chocolate every single day, multiple times a day? No. The key is moderation. Having some chocolate is okay, but not all day, every day. Am I right? So think of it in terms of it's like a diet of the mind. Go on to social media, but set yourself limits, set yourself times, and check out your screen times. Your cell phone will tell you, how long are you on your cell phone? How long are you on social media? Check it out, and remember, try to stay below that 3-hour mark per day. So the plan here is to develop a really, some kind of quantifiable way of documenting your social media use and your social media time. So maybe you should write it down, right? Monitor your time, monitor your feelings, be careful what you're posting. Ask yourself, is this something I would care about if someone else posted it? And you know what? Break the phone check habit. Just try to stay away from your phone, especially if you're in class and if you're studying. So I think I've talked to some of my best students and I asked them, what's the trick? How do you do so well on tests? And I tell you, some of my high flyers, some of my best testers, you know what they say about studying? They put away their cell phone. They stick it in a drawer, they set a timer for an hour, and they'll check their phone in an hour, and they do that for every subject. I think that's healthier. Having your phone with you day and night and attending to every single text message and everything single alert, that can make you nuts. So it's really good to kind of break that phone check habit, reconnect to nature, go outside, do something else. I think the solution is to develop a plan, and then remember the target is moderation. And if you have a plan, you will not fail because you're going to do your plan. If you don't have a plan, then just plan to fail. Achievement motivation is that desire for significant accomplishment, for mastery of a skill or an idea, or it could be for control or for attaining a high standard. That's your achievement motivation. And you know what really is the underlying of all of this is a tiny little word called grit. It's passion and perseverance in the pursuit of a long-term goal. It's self-discipline and hard work. It can surpass natural talent. Make no mistake, a person can be born a genius, but if they don't have grit, they might not go very far with that genius talent that they were born with. So hard work and perseverance really pays off. 7 steps to goal setting. Number 1, make a resolution. Number 2, announce your goal to your friends and your family. Tell them what your plan is. Number 3, develop an action plan. Write it down. Number 4, create a short-term reward that supports your long-term reward. So give yourself like treats or rewards. And number 5, monitor your progress. Number 6, create a supportive environment. And number 7, transform the hard to do to a must-do habit. And you're going to make your goal. I bet. One of our motivations is our motivation to eat. We've all, been there, right? There is physiology behind the psychology of hunger, and it brings it back to the brain. Let's go to your hypothalamus. This is the centers of all your drives and all those motives, right? The hypothalamus has 2 parts to it, the ventral medial and the lateral, and they are the signal, the tool that you need to signal that you need to eat or you need to stop. The ventral medial is going to tell you to stop eating. It's this tool that says, hey, you've had enough to eat, no more, please stop. But the lateral hypothalamus, that's what's going to trigger the hunger. It's a tool that says, hey, I'm hungry, and it makes you go get up and seek out food, right? The lateral hypothalamus, think of L for lateral, L for large hunger. The ventral medial hypothalamus, see that V? It looks like a slice of pizza. Pretend you ate it and now I'm full. Ventral medial, you're full. Oh, I have a lot of silly mnemonics for this one. You have to know your appetite hormones, which are really, really boring, and nobody wants to know these, but here we go. Orexin, think of orexin. Look at the word orexin. Looks like Oreos, right? You got Oreos on your mind, you're hungry, and it's coming from your brain. Hunger signal from the brain. Ghrelin, they're in your stomach. Think of those little gremlins, right? They're in your stomach, and they are giving you the signal, hey, to eat, I'm hungry, and it's given to you by your stomach. So think of ghrelin, gremlins, I'm hungry from the stomach. Leptin, think of lipids like lipo, fat, right? These are your fat cells, and when they're in abundance, they're supposed to increase metabolism. They're going to decrease your hunger. Ovastatin, look at that word ovastatin, looks like obese, right? It's coming from your stomach. It's going to send this full signal. So when you're full, your stomach's going to send a signal like, hey, stop eating. We're all full down here. No more food. Ovastatin. Think of Thanksgiving when you just can't eat another bite. PYY, this is the craziest mnemonic of all. Think of the poo-poo highway. Yep, it's down in your intestines. The PYY sends you the full signal. Stop eating. So when you're constipated, I know no one wants to talk about that. When you're constipated, it's going to send you that signal, hey, stop eating. We're all, backed up down here, traffic jam in the intestines. And then last but not least, we have insulin and glucose. Insulin, we know, is secreted by the pancreas, controls your blood glucose levels, and glucose is the sugar that they're talking about, right? And so in theory, when sugar levels are high, it's supposed to send you the signal to stop eating, and when sugar levels are low, it's supposed to send you the signal to eat. And we're done. We'll actually be talking about these disorders in a later module, but it does talk about eating turning into something psychological and unhealthy. So we have anorexia, when you are below your weight. Bulimia is when you're overeating and then you're purging, and binge eating disorder is overeating and not purging. Now we're in the emotion theory or the emotion section of this module. So regarding the emotion theories, I share in class a quick video about brain and emotions, about 2 minutes. But emotion is very complex. It involves the body arousal, like your heart pounding. It involves expressive behavior, like a behavior that you're doing, like running. And then it also involves conscious experience, like thinking. Okay, I'm going to do these fast. These are the emotion theories. We're going to start with the James Long theory. The James Long theory is a body-based theory that says your heart beats fast or something happens to your body, and then the emotion happens right after. So if your heart beats fast and then you feel love, that's a James Long theory, right? Isn't there something missing? Does it feel like something's missing? There is something missing, and I'll tell you later. Another emotion theory is Cannon-Bard. Okay, the Cannon-Bard theory is not a body-based theory, it's a neurologically based theory, and it basically says that your heart beats fast and emotion and your body responds simultaneously. So in the prior one that we just did, the James Long theory, your heart beats fast and I feel love, it's in that order, but this is different. It's simultaneously. So your heart beats fast and love happens at the same time. But don't you feel like something still is missing? There is something missing. Do you know what it is? I'll tell you later. So have you figured out what's missing yet? Okay, here's emotion theory number 3. This is the Schachter two-factor theory, also known as the Schachter-Singer theory. And this is a body-based, again, emotion theory, but pay attention. Your heart beats fast, then you think about it, and then you have the emotion. So your heart beats fast, and then you think, oh, wow, here comes my crush. They look so fantastic, and then you feel the emotion of love. Did you see what was missing? Yes, it's the thinking part. It's the interpretation part, right? It's that top-down critical thinking part. Your heart beats fast, then you think about it. Then you go, I must be in love. There's that third part. So this is just like the James Long theory that we talked about at the beginning, but with a cognitive twist. And now it's called the Schachter two-factor theory. Got it? The second factor is thinking and cognition. Okay, now that you know the secret and you figured out what was missing, it was the thinking part. So we can apply it here as well. The Lazarus theory is just like the Cannon-Bard theory, except cognition is put first. So think about it. The event happens, then you think about it, then the emotional arousal and emotion happen simultaneously. So let's pretend it's your crush, right? They're walking towards you. They look fantabulous, right? And you're thinking, oh my gosh, they're gonna talk to me. It's my crush, they look amazing. And then your heart beats fast and you feel that emotion of love simultaneously. That's the Lazarus theory. Okay, let's put those 4 theories behind us and let's go forward to the facial feedback theory. This one's pretty easy. Your face, when you make a smile or when you make that frown, is connected to many nerves, and those nerves send signal to your brain about how you're feeling. So if you do the facial expression like happy, 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 it sends a signal to your brain that you're happy, and the same thing if you're sad. So there's the high road and the low road of emotion. When people say taking the high road of emotion, that means it's going to go through the frontal lobe and you're going to think things through. You're not too impulsive. But some behaviors go through the low road of emotion, which goes straight to the amygdala, the limbic system, and then you react, like in fight or flight and emergencies. The spillover effect could happen to you anywhere, but the spillover effect, it's like catching the emotion of nearby people. And it could be like you're watching this really crazy movie and then you catch the emotion of the movie. It's exciting and it's fun and it makes you want to go out and do something else. Yes, you're welcome. Another fantastic chart, and this is for you to study and compare the different emotion theories. Emotions are categorized in 2 ways, through arousal, low versus high, and through valence. The word valence could be positive or negative emotions. Do you remember the autonomic nervous system, the ANS, that kind of like propels you into fight or flight? Well, check out what happens during the sympathetic and the parasympathetic division, what happens to your body, that arousal period, what happens during these conditions. There's a single brain region that serves as the seat of all emotions, and that's the insula, a neural center deep inside the brain. Now, the amygdala also is very activated when we observe something fearful or when we're about to engage in some kind of fight or flight, situation. Negative emotions could activate the right prefrontal cortex, while positive moods trigger the frontal lobe activity of the left. Remember that polygraph test? That's a machine that detects lies. It measures like emotions linked to changes in things like perspiration, heart rate, and breathing. But remember, it's not always admissible because it doesn't work for everybody. Paul Ekman did cross-culture research on facial expressions, and he said that there are some universal facial expressions like happy, sad, fear, anger, disgust, and surprise that anyone can recognize. I don't have to speak your language or know your culture or know anything about you. I know you're angry at me. I know I need to run from you, or I know that you're my friend and I can approach you because you're smiling and you look nice. There's certain things that I can detect, and it's universal. All humans can do it.